it almost made me feel kind of sick actually. Yes, first impressions can sometimes be a bit off, but I genuinely have never felt so much like I wanted to recoil, you know, from smelling a fragrance. Hi everyone, it's Sal here. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. So in today's video, I'm going to be telling you about a group of fragrances that I would not personally recommend. These are some fragrances that disappointed me personally. Maybe if you haven't yet tried these fragrances, be warned. But having said that, if you already own and love these fragrances, then that's totally fine too. These are perfumes that disappointed me personally. I just don't like them, and I'm gonna explain why. With all of that being said, it's time to sit back, relax, grab yourself a drink and a snack, and let's get started with the video. So the first fragrance that really disappointed me, and one that I wouldn't really recommend to you, is Zadig Voltaire. This is Her. Now this was a blind buy of mine. I purchased this quite a long time ago now. I'd heard that this was a very creamy, sort of lactonic, soft, comforting, slightly sweet kind of fragrance, and I was really excited to try it. And although this isn't a bad perfume, it's just really not what I was expecting at all. So the main sort of notes in this fragrance, you have your chestnut note, you have your note of whipped cream, you also have your sandalwood notes in here as well. And this fragrance, it kind of reminds me of a kind of crisp, brisk mountain air on like a snowy expedition. There's something very cold about this fragrance, and it's quite an interesting fragrance. But the thing I don't actually like about this is how strong the kind of woody notes are in here. To me personally, the combination of the strong sort of sandalwood notes, the very dry sort of sandalwood notes, you know, combined with the whipped cream, it comes off very masculine to me. And I know opinions around what smells masculine and what smells feminine. I know that can differ and it's kind of subjective, but just the way I feel towards this fragrance, it comes off as quite masculine to me. I think just because of the dry, woody nature of it. The whipped cream note in here is almost kind of, it reminds me of like shaving foam. It's that kind of smell as opposed to a nice lactonic, creamy, milky type of cream, if you know what I mean. It just overall reminds me of a combination of shaving foam, cold mountain air, snow itself. It kind of reminds me of that as well. And overall, this fragrance is not bad. It doesn't smell bad at all. It's just not what I was hoping. It doesn't suit me, I don't find. I don't feel comfortable wearing it. It's kind of a bit too harsh, actually. There's something about this that's quite brisk. It's quite strong as well, quite potent. And kind of harsh. It's not the soft, creamy, comforting, lactonic scent that I was hoping for. It really isn't that at all, to my nose anyway. Overall, I wouldn't really recommend this perfume just because it's not really what I hoped it would be. From looking at the notes, you might think that it's going to be this very soft, creamy, like almost a gourmand type of scent, but this isn't gourmand to me at all. I believe there's actually vanilla listed in the notes as well for this fragrance, but I don't get that at all. I just get a kind of harsh shaving foam type of scent that's kind of masculine leaning to me personally, and I don't like it very much. So that is Zadig & Voltaire, This Is Her. Next up today we have Angel Eau Croisiere 2020. This fragrance has your kind of fruity notes. I believe it has fig nectar, it has your magnolia as well, your vanilla, your praline notes. So, you know, if you think of the original Angel, it's already a very sweet perfume. And then if you imagine adding in a very indulgent, thick, heavy fig nectar notes into there as well with vanilla. Well, it already has vanilla, but if you imagine adding in something even more intense and syrupy into an already very sweet, syrupy fragrance, you get a very intensely sweet, heavy, to me, nauseating type of scent. This fragrance was really far too much for me. It wasn't very well balanced. It was just extremely syrupy, kind of creamy, heavy, dessert-like, but not even in a very nice way. It was almost, it almost made me feel kind of sick, actually. Please let me know in the comments if you like this fragrance. Again, I'm not trying to say it's a bad scent, it's just really, it wasn't for me at all. But let me know how, let me know in the comments how you get on with that perfume, if you like it. I'd be really interested to hear your opinion on it, because to me, I was so taken aback by it, you guys. I mean, it really wasn't what I was expecting at all. I mean, I suppose I should have really kind of known from looking at the notes, because they were all very intense, rich notes together. But I guess I expected it to sort of come together in some way, but to me it was just the most nauseating, intense, heavy, overpowering, sickly sweet fragrance I think I've ever tried. It was honestly so bad. And I moved that one on swiftly to a new home. I didn't get on with it at all. I am kind of trying to find an Angel to suit me. I have a feeling that perhaps the original Angel Eau de Toilette version, that might be a bit more for me. I do love all the aliens, so I guess I'm more of like an alien girl, but I did want to acquire an Angel fragrance, so maybe you could let me know again in the comments as well if there is a fragrance from the Angel line that you would recommend. One that's preferably not too overbearingly sweet, so probably not the Eau Sucré version. I don't think I would like the Nova one, like the orange, because it sounds a bit too fruity again. I'm not the biggest fan of fruity fragrances, but I do think the Angel Eau de Toilette would perhaps be a bit more for me. Certainly not the Angel Eau Croisiere 2020 version, unfortunately. That was a really extreme blind buy fail, I would say. Really, really not for me. Couldn't stand it actually, so that was that one. The next fragrance I want to talk about today is La Nuit Tresor Eau de Toilette, and this is a fragrance that I used to have in my collection, and funnily enough it's a perfume that I used to really, really enjoy, but this is one of those examples of when your tastes just completely change. I no longer enjoy that fragrance. It has been moved on to a new home now. But I do own the original La Nuit Tresor Eau de Parfum, and I also own La Nuit Tresor Nude, the Eau de Toilette, and I really, really like these two. I think they're fantastic fragrances, particularly this one here. I absolutely adore it. It's actually a fragrance that I've been wearing quite a lot of recently. But the La Nuit Tresor Eau de Toilette, the Eau de Toilette version is somewhat similar to this one if you removed all of those heavy bass notes, but the thing about it that I couldn't quite get on board with after a while was the sort of extreme use of berry sort of notes in there. I believe there was raspberry, some other kind of fruits or berry notes that were quite strong, and there was also quite a harsh white musk note in there that I didn't pick up on at first, but as I wore it more, you know, I for some reason could like pick up on a harsh nature of the fragrance of the Eau de Toilette, and it really, the more I wore it, the more it bothered me, and I ended up just moving it on. I really much prefer this one. This is probably one of my like all-time favourite perfumes actually. I really do love this one. There's no harshness to this fragrance whatsoever in my opinion. Expertly blended, it's of very high quality, it's very unique, very interesting, extremely feminine, bold and beautiful, you know, the Eau de Parfum version. But the Eau de Toilette, it is quite a nice fragrance. I mean, if you don't pick up on the harshness and you quite enjoy your peony, rose, like fruity berry sort of fragrances, you know, quite light-hearted, flirty, everyday type of feminine scents, then it may be for you. And I have recommended it before on my channel when I used to own it and when I used to like enjoy it. But unfortunately I grew out of that one and I really sort of went off it. I wouldn't recommend it anymore just because of those sharp berry notes and the kind of harsh nature to it. I'm just really not a fan of that fragrance anymore, so that was La Nuit Tresor Eau de Toilette. The next fragrance I want to talk about today is one that I'm just going to very briefly touch on because I've only smelt it once. I can't really remember all of the notes, but I'm just going to quickly give you like my first impression of it, which was possibly the most extreme negative, you know, reaction that I've ever had to smelling a fragrance for the first time, and that is Thank You Next from Ariana Grande. Now, from what I can remember of the notes, there was a note of macaroon in there. It was kind of supposed to be this kind of sweety type of scent. I can't quite remember the notes, but I was honestly so repulsed by this fragrance. I can't even quite put it into words. When I couldn't quite believe what I smelled actually. It was this extremely pungent, sharp, sour scent, and that's really the only way I can actually describe it to you. It was just this extremely sour fragrance. I'm trying to remember if there was, I don't know if there was maybe something like grapefruit in there or some sort of tart, maybe was there quince? I think there was some sort of fruit in there with the macaroon, and I don't really know how this concoction smelt such a way, but to me it honestly just smelt like this very like sharp, abrasive, sour smell, and you know, that was all I needed to know. You might be thinking, well, it was a first impression, give it another try, test it out, things like that, but the thing is, you guys, I literally couldn't smell that again. Like, I don't want to go anywhere near that fragrance again, unfortunately. Yes, first impressions can sometimes be a bit off, but I genuinely have never felt so much like I wanted to recoil, you know, from smelling a fragrance. It was really, really not at all what I was expecting, kind of because I've heard generally very good things about Ariana Grande's fragrances. Cloud is a very good fragrance in my opinion. And, you know, overall, I just wasn't expecting that at all. It was a very unpleasant surprise. And of course, I would not recommend it to you. I definitely wouldn't recommend it. I don't think, let me know if you enjoy it. Please let me know if you do enjoy it. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe the bottle I smelled had gone off. You know, there is that. But, yeah, it really wasn't for me at all. Possibly the worst, you know, the worst first impression I could possibly have of a fragrance. The next perfume I would not recommend is actually another one from Ariana Grande, and that is REM. This is a perfume actually that I might try and go back to. I might, just because of the overwhelming positive, you know, response that there generally seems to be for this one. You know, people do seem to really like it. I'm gonna tell you basically what my impressions are right now of that fragrance, but it's one I may come back to later. But as it stands right now, the way I feel about it right now, I definitely would not recommend it. I don't like it, etc. But like I say, I may try and revisit it, but who knows, you know. But REM from Ariana Grande, it has kind of like an interesting combination of notes. It has your zephyr sort of dessert note in there, it has your lavender notes in there, perhaps quince. There was a combination of quite interesting notes, and I actually thought I was going to like it. However, when I tried it, it was just this incredibly harsh, sharp, punchy fragrance, you know, just extremely you know, not soft at all, not well blended, just extremely screechy to me. And I'd heard, you know, some comparisons between REM and the likes of Coffee Break from Maison Margiela, and I've tried both of those fragrances now, and I would say that I would definitely go for Coffee Break over REM. Coffee Break is a really nice fragrance, very, very strong of lavender. It has like a kind of milky note in there, which is quite subtle. Overall, it's a very nice fragrance. REM is just almost like tinny in comparison, if that makes sense. If you imagine two different types of headphones, you know, you have a better quality pair and you have like the cheapest pair you can imagine, and the sound from one is very nice and soft and sort of diffused and just a very nice quality sound, and the other pair is this like scratchy tinny quality. It's almost like that, if you know what I mean. The REM, it was just very harsh to me. Again, I was quite taken aback by this actually, because I'd heard many good things about this perfume and I sort of had like higher expectations. Maybe that's partly why I was disappointed actually, if I had quite high expectations of it. But either way, you guys, I don't like that perfume as it stands right now. Maybe I need to give it another try. Let me know if you think I should like try it again, I don't know, but I certainly wouldn't recommend it as it stands right now. So that is REM from Ariana Grande. The next fragrance I really would not recommend is one that kind of shocked me actually, because I thought I was really going to enjoy it, and that is Tiffany Intense. Now, I really genuinely thought this was going to be one of my next purchases because upon looking at the notes, it sounded like something I would really enjoy. It kind of had that like citrusy opening with your like vanilla and heavier musky notes and things like that. It was just kind of a richer, deeper version of the original Tiffany, as you would imagine. And I really thought this was going to be for me actually, but it wasn't a very nice experience wearing this perfume, you know, let's just say that. It really was not. I tried the original Tiffany on one wrist and I tried the Tiffany Intense on my other wrist, and I wore them for kind of a whole afternoon. And I definitely prefer the original Tiffany. I don't know if I like it enough to purchase a full bottle, but I did quite enjoy that one. The original Tiffany, it almost reminded me of sparkling silver jewellery, which was quite nice. I thought it was quite interesting how they captured that, and it went with the bottle and everything like that. But the Intense was, I think, the strong musk note in there clashing with those citruses. It just created something very like stale and like fusty, if you imagine going into an old like vintage secondhand, like I don't know, a shop with old like coats in there that haven't been aired for a while, that kind of stuffy, fusty, like stale kind of feeling that you would get in the air. That's the feeling I got from Tiffany Intense, and I was really taken aback, you guys. Like I genuinely thought I was gonna love this fragrance, but I definitely did not. I didn't even like it. I would not recommend it. I definitely would not blind buy that one. If you're gonna blind buy any one of the Tiffany's, I would, if anything, I would maybe blind buy the original, but even then, just be careful. But definitely do not blind buy Tiffany Intense, because I feel like looking at the notes, it might look like an easy or a successful blind buy even. You might kind of look at the notes and think, oh, that's exactly the type of fragrance I would love. That's what I thought when I looked at the notes. It's just one of those examples of, you know, trying a fragrance on your skin and seeing how it actually like smells and develops on your skin. This is a prime example of that because, you know, throughout the duration of the wear, it was not a pleasant experience, and I was never like more glad of like having access to a tester, if you know what I mean. Like I was so glad that I actually tried it on my skin before jumping in and purchasing a full bottle. So yeah, overall it was kind of stale to me, fusty, dusty almost. It just had this something very off about it, and it was just so bizarre to me. I don't know. The very stark citrusy opening with the very like cloudy, thick vanilla musk accord, there was something off about that to me, especially as the kind of the citruses, they don't really dissipate, they kind of stay throughout the duration of the wear as well. And overall it really was not a very pleasant experience, and I just wouldn't recommend that perfume to you. So that is Tiffany Intense. And the last perfume that I would not recommend to you is Belle Soleil Cristal. And this is a fragrance that, oh my goodness, you guys, it really was so nauseating to me. This fragrance is kind of, it has your La Vie Belle DNA in there, sort of, but it had more emphasis on a kind of coconut cream, vanilla, tropical, beachy kind of lotion vibe. I think that was like the idea of it, and it does kind of come across like that, but it is the most nauseating fragrance. Oh my goodness. I just can't even explain to you. If you think of the likes of La Nuit Tresor Nude, this to me is a very nice, it's very sweet. This one is very sweet, so it might be too sweet for some, but even so, there's something about this fragrance that kind of works to me. It's just a very nice, like beachy, sweet, feminine, light-hearted, coconut, like vanilla coconut rose, bright kind of fragrance, this one here. And I just feel like if you imagine something like this, but condensed down into the most concentrated, like coconutty, nauseating syrup, that's almost like what Soleil Cristal was to me. It was just far too sweet, it was too sickly, it was too coconutty. There was no finesse about it whatsoever. It was just far too much. And funnily enough, something that it really reminded me of, and this really, I think that's partly why I had such a visceral like reaction to it in a way. It really reminded me of the Malibu alcoholic drink. And actually, when I was in my first year of uni, my flatmate had that drink, and she like poured me some, like I tried some of it, and I had a really bad reaction to it. It's like I came out in red blotches everywhere, and I felt very like dizzy and ill from that Malibu drink, and I've never had it ever since. But that's a very coconutty, creamy, sweet, thick, slightly nauseating kind of drink in itself, and the La Vie Belle Soleil Cristal really strongly reminded me of that Malibu drink, which, you know, if you like that drink, then the fragrance might be nice for you, but just for me personally, I couldn't stand it, and I really would not recommend it. Stick to the other La Vie Belles for sure. So there we have it, everyone. Those are some perfumes that I would really not recommend to you. I personally was disappointed by them. I really didn't like them at all. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of these perfumes, and let me know of any other fragrances that I haven't mentioned that you would not recommend to somebody else. I think it's a really interesting conversation to have with fellow perfume enthusiasts, you know. So thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate you. Take care, and I can't wait to see you again on my next video. Bye!